Hey, Saskia, what do you get if you cross an international catwalk model with an engineer from the other side of the Tasman Sea?
What do you
What
get?
do you get? Well, I think in this case, you get NutriBooster recipes. So, yeah, no, it's everybody. This is Saskia, my amazing partner in this recipe creation extravaganza that's become NutriBoosters, and yeah, really, really proud of what we've created, and really excited to share it. We've been working on this for 2.5 years together, fairly manically in the background a lot of the time, and we've finally got this together and ready to launch it and share it with the world. And yeah, I can't wait to see how it helps a lot of people, because I think they're really unique. I think we've created something really special. So yeah. Who's Saskia quickly? We talked about this last time quickly, and your background and why you went from being a 15-year-old catwalk model and cover of Vogue to a mum and recipe creator. So just quickly, how did you get into this?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been into food, and I guess that traveling while modeling and experiencing all those different cultures and foods kind of kept my interest. And then, yeah, after having a mum, ended up putting on that extra 5-10 kilos, and I went on the search of how to eat myself slim again.
Yeah, you can pretty much eat whatever you want as you travel the world as a
Yeah,
15-year-old catwalk model. But
yeah.
yeah,
And then you life kicks in and you realize that you can't carry on. That's just, all the things that happen to everyone.
yeah.
And that led me down the whole keto path. And then I found you guys.
Yeah, I think you did a challenge, one of our first challenge, and this
Yes.
Saskia kept posting these recipes, and I'm like, oh God, they look amazing. What is she doing? And then I think you messaged me afterwards and say, hey, if you ever want to work together
Yeah.
and
It was
create
like,
something,
right.
and I went, I don't know what you're asking here. I don't know whether you're, I've got big visions to make this happen, and yeah, you've just kept on delivering the goods, and you're even more perfectionistic and attention to detail and obsessive than me. And every time yeah, it's like I don't know what's a good or a bad combination, but what we've come up with is pretty cool. So
yeah, it's been amazing journey, hasn't it? Really.
yeah, it's been super cool. So I suppose I'll share the screen. So what are NutriBoosters? I suppose we wanted to create a set of recipes that people say, oh, you can't get all your nutrients from food. You have to take supplements. And here's my supplement bottle that you can buy for the low price of, whatever. And every time I take supplements, I end up just not feeling right for some reason. I think I've pushed it too far one way or the other. And you're drinking water on the toilet or something as your body tries to clear those supplements. And, the whole food is amazing, and there's plenty of research to show that vitamins and minerals in whole food is incredible, but not a lot to show that individual supplements help a lot. So we wanted to create recipes and put them together into these books that would align with any goal. I suppose we've tried to, from nutritional keto to therapeutic keto to plant-based and vegetarian and cancer, we've tried to paint every diet in the most nutrient dense, beautiful light possible. So, whether you're plant-based or carnivore, you need nutrients. So that's what we've tried to do with these recipe books, and help you get nutrients from food.
Eating patterns, didn't we?
Yeah. We said, how can we create the best version of every eating, diet, religion, belief system, preference, goal, whatever you want. We got a bit carried away with 26 recipe books, but here we are. So I'll keep that up. So the fat loss recipe book, I might bring that up and just take people for a tour through to show you what the new and improved recipe books look like. Updated photos with a bit of an intro, and then table of contents with 33 amazing looking recipes. They're just incredible. And
then if I cooked it,
yeah, Saskia's had the hard job of eating every single one of these beautiful looking recipes. So if you click on the little link here for each one, it'll open in a new window and show you that particular recipe. I'll just bring it across here. So the baked snapper salad, scroll down, and then it gives you the full macronutrient breakdown and then micronutrient breakdown, ingredients, directions, and what that recipe is suitable for. So each one of those you can drill down. I suppose what we wanted to show is few people show macros, but not many people do, but nobody really looks at micros, which everything falls into place once you dial in micros, doesn't it? So, so take you a bit more of a tour. Whole variety and range. We've got a food list up the back, and then we've added some appendices to give people a bit of background of what we've done, how we've done it, what we've tried to achieve, what is nutrient density, what is satiety, and then what is insulin load, which is especially relevant for people with diabetes and trying to stabilize their blood sugars. And then at the back, we've got 100 recipes optimized for that goal. So we've narrowed it down for like 500,000 that Alex developed down to about 2,000 that we've analyzed to death. And then we've got 400 recipes that we love and we want to take to the world. And then we've got the best 100 that are optimized for each goal in the back of the book that you can just go, let's click on that recipe and it'll bring it up. So this is the one recipe book to rule them all. And if you want to have fat loss, good joke from New Zealand where you film anyway. Oh, there's the dog. He's a great little feature.
Just saw the cat.
And so 100 recipes up the back. And then there's 26 of those recipe books, which are just incredible and they look amazing. So how did you create each of these recipes? What's the process to dial it in? They're not just the average recipe, are they?
I think the first 100 or so were from a lot of the other optimizers, and I was just kind of photographing them and putting them together with the directions, because sometimes we just had ingredients but no directions. And then with the second 100 or so, it was trying to change what we had, because we had a lot of salmon and spinach because it seems to tick all the boxes. And so it was like, okay, how can I change the protein? So quite often I'd start with the protein source, or if I was looking at a particular book and I knew we had, what was missing, what protein was missing, and then build up around that with different greens, and then I put that all into Chronometer and just see where the gaps were, and then trying to think of things also that were either moist or crunchy or all the things that you would do in a normal recipe, but also trying to think of what nutrients they added. So it's quite a process for each recipe, and then just trying to get those. I think you changed my Chronometer settings so that I check how I was getting the right nutrients for all the different things, especially the harder to find ones. Just sort of played around with each recipe back and forth until I hit green lights on all the boxes as I could. And sometimes they were lacking in one nutrient, but then when you put it together with another recipe from the book, then you got so within your day you could definitely get your goals. So it was kind of the basis for most of them.
You become a professional artist, not just in photography, but in creating, beautiful, nutrient-dense, tasty meals that are also simple. I suppose that was what we wanted to create. There's so many recipe books out there that give you these comfort foods that you can use for a dinner party or to show off, or when you're feeling, cold on a winter's night, that you want this comforty, indulgent meal that they sell well. But what most people need is recipes that just work every day, that they can have 2 or 3 times a day, that they don't take long to prepare, and they're going to be good for them. So,
exactly. And and you want it to be able to easy to find, a couple of ingredients, not too hard, because you don't feel like cooking with 20 ingredients every time you cook anything. And so really simple. They are a lot of the time just a combination, aren't they, of 3 or 4 ingredients, but that with whatever else you have in your day. But they're all yum. They're all yummy. I want to go back and make them again because I think, that was really good, but I haven't had the chance because you're making new recipes. And
do you have a favorite that you want to go back and create again?
So many. Looking back today when I was working on the finishing touches of a few of the books, I was like, I haven't had that one in ages. And the ones that surprised you, I think I said that last time, like the mussel salad. I remember seeing that recipe and thinking, that's going to be really weird, but it's one of my favorites. Yeah. And also because mussels are so good for making the green lights that I've eat a lot more of them now.
Wow. And you're looking healthy and vibrant, and okay. You'll be back on the catwalk in no time. If you got time between recipe making and being a mum, but it's really fun, and I suppose that's the thing. They're not the average recipe with 20 ingredients, but often the simple things, the simple combination, the balance of protein and veg with enough energy is just the perfect balance to give you the nutrients you need. So it's really cool and really exciting just to showcase what nutrient density looks like, because I've written so many articles and blah 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 blah, lots of words, and you can talk about nutrient density forever, but until people see it and go, wow, that looks really good, and it tastes good too, because it's got all these vibrant flavors from the fresh foods, and I might just go through some nerdy graphs, take it back from the beautiful food to the numbers, and just show this is the 26 recipe books and how they rank for protein and the other macronutrients, which is pretty cool. Obviously, the high protein to energy in honor of Ted Naiman has the most protein, and then we sort of work down. So it sort of gives you an idea. Therapeutic keto, plant-based, and then we've got a one for people with cancer, optimized for weight gain, which is sort of the lowest protein that'll help people put on weight. So not everybody needs to lose weight. We need to, with nutrient density as the center, dial in micronutrients and macronutrients to suit different goals. So this is what we call the micronutrient fingerprint chart. This is for maximum nutrient density in terms of the dietary reference intake per 2,000 calories. So this is the minimum to prevent diseases of deficiency. And we seem to have managed to get all the nutrients you need and more in the recipes. So this is the average across the top 100 for the maximum nutrient density goal. And they just give you more nutrients with less energy, and it's pretty incredible. And then we've got the optimal nutrient intake per 2,000 calories, which tends to be 2 or 3 times the minimum to prevent deficiency. And then for each of those books, we've got different nutrient fingerprints. Therapeutic keto is a bit different to maximum nutrient density, is a bit different to plant-based. But what we've done is tried to prioritize recipes that provide those harder to find nutrients. So it's a continual quest to get more of those harder to find nutrients. You might have plenty of vitamin K1 on a plant-based diet, but it's the B12, selenium, calcium, B3, zinc that you need to chase for your diet. And that just changes for different approaches. And then we've got protein versus optimal nutrient intake score. Protein tends to correlate fairly well with optimal nutrient intake score. And if you want to, again, if you need to lose body fat, you need enough protein, enough nutrients without energy. So that's where you'd be up there. But if you don't need to lose body fat, then you might have something a bit further down the scale, depending on what your goals are. Fat versus nutrient score. Basically, if you don't need to lose body fat as much, then bring fat back into your diet to prevent you from losing body fat, give you good energy. We're definitely, I think both of us have come from a low carb keto type background. So that's where a lot of these recipes get their energy from, if required. And then carbs, low carb at around 15% seems to be optimal in terms of nutrient density, but lower carb, where you eliminate all the green stuff, is not necessarily better because it's harder to find some of those nutrients. So a lot of people asked, feel free to drop comments and questions in the chat, but a lot of people said, how do I get the recipes in Chronometer? So Saskia's done a lot of work to create these in Chronometer, a lot of work. And then if you do have a Chronometer Gold account, you can just go into settings, sharing, and add a friend. And in the front of the recipe book, it's got my email details of how to add me as a friend there. And then when you go to diary, you can type in like PSMF flan. It seems to be a popular one, and it just pops up and you can add it to your diary. And if you look at, they're all tagged with Optimising Nutrition. You can see there's about probably 600 recipes in there that you'll get access to once you buy the book and buy a book and friend me in Chronometer. So we wanted to make that stupid easy for people to not have to log their food. If they've got the books, they can just log it in. So yeah, how was that process of adding everything in Chronometer?
Well, as I said, I was doing it as I was creating the recipes because I needed to see where the nutrients were. So, it kind of was as I went along. But also I know for myself that it's just the idea of kind of planning your day and then having to log it puts you off. But if you buy the book and then, can plan your whole week, choose any couple of recipes and you can just easily add them to your day and then see how your nutrients fall. And, that would be much easier for people. So I thought it's worth it.
Yeah.
Extra work in the beginning.
Yeah. And the people who've done the best with nutrient density, nutritional optimization are the ones that have planned ahead. They say, this is what I'm going to eat this week. It's a nice balance. I enjoy those meals. They've found their optimal 30-30 of the meals and foods that they enjoy eating and just sort of plan that out for the day, go shopping for it. And they know what they're going to eat before time, so they're not thinking, oh yeah, I've got those donuts in the back of the fridge there, and I'm hungry and I'm bored, and it becomes an automated process.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the essential NutriBoosters are sort of people said, what recipe book should I get? So we've got a range, like people talk about, what diet is best. Is it carnivore or plant-based or whatever? We don't think there's any one diet that's best for everybody because everybody's got a different context and different goals, so they need a different nutritional prescription to suit them. So these are sort of the essential ones that are sort of tailored for different metabolic goals, from fat loss, just I want to get the maximum nutrients out of my diet, high protein to energy ratio if you really want to go hardcore Ted Naiman. Probably not recommended place to start out unless you're a cutting bodybuilder and want to really rapidly lose fat. Maybe blood sugar and fat loss, or fat loss might be a better place to start. Low carb and blood sugar is geared for people who, like my wife, Monica, who just want stable blood sugars. They don't necessarily need to lose fat. Blood sugar and fat loss is for people who have insulin resistance because they have body fat to lose. So that's sort of that balance. I think Debbie asked, hey, why has low carb and blood sugar got more dietary fat? And that's why, because, it's got a little less protein and more fat just to live a normal life and have stable blood sugars. Then for people who are happy with their body fat levels and just want to maintain their weight, we've got a maintenance one. Bodybuilders has got a solid amount of protein and a solid amount of energy to gain muscle without gaining fat. And then athletes and bulking is just like an energy dense but still protein focused approach and nutrient focused approach that will support your activity levels. So there's a table that we'll publish later that sort of says if your waist to height ratio is greater than 0.5, then you probably want to choose a fat loss focused approach. And if your blood sugar rises by more than 30 milligrams per deciliter or 1.6 millimoles after meals, then you want to choose something with a bit of a lower insulin load, blood sugar focus. And then once you're got past that fat loss phase, you can sort of change your focus. So and then we've got a whole pile of other recipe books. A lot of people said, what about autoimmune or low oxalate? All your recipes have got spinach. That's just an oxalate bomb. And it's like, okay, for some people, they do need to cut back on the oxalates a little bit if they do legitimately have oxalate sensitivities or FODMAP sensitivities or low histamine. A lot of effort to find those recipes that also contain nutrients, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were the most challenging ones.
Yeah, and you probably don't want to limit yourself with a low oxalate, a low histamine approach. I think even the gurus and that say only do this until you've cleared your symptoms and then start to focus on nutrient density again after that. So a lot of people say, I don't like fish, or I don't like green stuff, or I don't like that meat, and I can't get that. What do you say to people in that situation, Saskia?
I do think, because we did do the simple, the sort of a few ingredients, any proteins will probably work. So, some people don't like fish, or just replace it for chicken or something that you do like. And the same with the greens. If you don't like spinach, you can choose rocket, or some of the herbs are really good for adding in those extra nutrients like parsley. Mix a few different ones together, and I mean, I think that don't be put off if you don't like one ingredient, because it's easily changed to something you do like. So they are very flexible.
A lot of people, when they hear nutrient density, think, that must be, organ meat galore, and we didn't find that. That was interesting, wasn't it? Yeah. There's a few organ meat recipes, but not a ton.
Yeah. And we do have, I still have a list of recipes I want to do. We've earmarked, and we've seen people's posts and they look amazing, and I've got screenshots of all these more things to do, but there's only so much a girl can eat in a day. So next year.
So 3 new recipes a day, Saskia, beautifully presented.
I guess there was no waste with these cookbooks. A lot of the food shoots I've been on, you cook up all this food and it doesn't get eaten, it gets thrown out. But we haven't wasted any.
Yeah. So even the hubby and the kids are getting into it a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he didn't like tofu. Is that right?
Yeah. He wasn't very impressed with the tofu.
Didn't like tofu, but we got the whole plant-based recipe book done anyway.
Yeah.
Even though hubby didn't like it.
And the dog was like looking up when certain things were happening, but
Did the dog like tofu?
I didn't try.
Didn't try. You probably have to clean up after it. So a lot of people are doing data-driven fasting, and so they said, how can we use this with data-driven fasting? So in the data-driven fasting app, we've got this cool little daily or hourly blood sugar chart, and really, if you have a lot of blood sugars that are rising excessively over your upper limit, or we call it your full line, which is 30 milligrams per deciliter or 1.6 millimole over your trigger, then you want to maybe dial back the carbohydrates from your diet. So one of the low carbon blood sugar or fat loss and blood sugar book may be ideal for you at that point. If all of your dots are within those limits because you're fairly insulin sensitive and you just need to lose body fat, then the fat loss or maximum nutrient density or high protein to energy book, if you wanted to go really hardcore, are probably ideal for that point. Then once you get below your trigger, you could use a a maintenance approach. And then if you're really, really way below your trigger, you could use one of the more energy dense, maybe higher carb recipes from the Athletes and Bulking book. So that's how that could work for those people using data-driven fasting. And I'll have another post about that later as well. A lot of people say, should I buy more than one book? And really we've set this up so you only need, to allude to Lord of the Rings again, one book to rule them all, because there's 33 recipes in there with links to 100 at the end aligned to your goals. So we don't really want people buying 5 of these. I think that each recipe's used 3.1 times per, across the 26 recipes. So there will be some overlap and duplication, but not a lot, but a little bit. And I think you've now created 220 of your own recipes now. So we've tried to minimize any duplication in this round and gone to a lot of effort to make that happen. It's amazing. So ideally, you wouldn't buy more than one book up front. Just pick one. It's got 120 recipes or so in there. The only situation where you would, maybe need another book is where you start out with, I want a blood sugar and fat loss book, and then you stabilize your blood sugar and you just want to move to fat loss, and then you go, well, I've lost all my weight and my blood sugars are great, so I just want maintenance. Or you become an athlete and you need to support long endurance events, you can move to a more athlete type focus book with more energy density. So but up front we don't want you to do that. But I suppose if you're going to do that, then you probably want to jump into the Masterclass, which we use Nutrient Optimiser. So we've got all 400 recipes loaded into Nutrient Optimiser. And if you log in Chronometer during the challenge, starts 22nd of May, it will then rank the recipes based on your micronutrient and macronutrient needs. So you'll have access to all of them in there. It's handy to have one book, but if you want access to all of them, that's probably the best way to grab that. And we'll be profiling and premiering each of these in the Facebook group, NutriBooster Recipes, really newly rebranded. And anything else you wanted to add, Saskia? I think we've got a few questions.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing people make the recipes and share their photos on the group.
It's a really cool group. And seeing all these amazing creations. We're trying to start a movement of nutritional optimization where people bang out amazing recipes and get healthy for it, and not just tied to plant-based or keto or carnivore or any particular dietary belief system. But nutrition should be about nutrients, and it doesn't really have to be more complex than that. And it's pretty amazing. I'll just check through if we got any other comments. Everybody's saying good job. Looking forward to sharing them out there. So jump into the NutriBooster recipes book. We'll be profiling one book a week for the coming 26 weeks, and hope you love them. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Saskia. Bye.